Here we are, episode 4 of Champion Connections. I'm your host, Chris Coleman. Magic Johnson, Farrah Gray, Mark Cuban, MTV, New York Stock Exchange, and Google. What do these things have in common? Well, our next guest has not only met those three people, she's also interned at Google, was featured on a show on MTV, and rang the bell at the New York Stock Exchange, all while being in college. So, join me in welcoming Alicia Glenn, who will teach you how you can hack your college education while attending school or even if you're out of school. I know you'll enjoy this one.
My name is Alicia Glenn, and I just recently graduated from Howard University from Boston, Massachusetts. And right now, I decided to not apply for any full-time jobs. I decided to pursue entrepreneurship full-time, so I'm currently working on my startup.
All right, and what would that startup be?
It's called My College Hustle. It's a mobile application that will allow students to buy, sell, trade products. They can also do small tasks for other students. So, for instance, if I'm in my room or if I'm somewhere else and I don't have time to go grocery shopping, I can outsource that task to another student who may be in the area or who may have a car and be willing to pick up my groceries for a small fee. So it can be anything from that or bartering skills. I need you to teach me Photoshop. In exchange, I'm going to tutor you in Spanish. So it's takes all that experience and brings it to students' mobile phones because we're always on our phones. So that's it's based on the mobile platform.
Cool. So how did this idea come about?
I feel like it sounds so cliche when I feel like most entrepreneurs or young entrepreneurs are always it started from my dorm room, but that is the case. I came up with this idea in my sophomore year. Yeah, towards the end of my sophomore year in college, and I was just chatting with my business partner, or who was my business partner at the time, and I had thought of the idea, and I was kind of just bouncing off him, like, what if you could have, what students can do? I originally was going to make it kind of similar to Fiverr, but just, targeting a niche market, college students, and like $5 jobs. But then I kind of decided to branch out with it, so I was just thinking, so many students, at Howard, they have a hustle, every student, is trying to do something, make a little extra cash, and that's kind of where the idea was born.
Cool. Now, were you always I'm going to be an entrepreneur when I grow up? I started selling lemonade at age 9, and I love it, and this is what I was going to do.
I would say I think it's important too for people who don't know what they're passionate about or don't know what their interests are to really look at their patterns when they were younger. Because I feel like I did have this whole entrepreneurial spirit when I was younger. I wasn't doing lemonade stands every day, but I did have a lemonade stand. I tried that, and as well as garage sales. I would always I would always ask my dad if I could build some go-kart thingy, and I would ask him to build it with me. Even though we never ended up building it, I would always get caught up in get rich quick schemes online and try to figure out how I can make money. I wish I could find a power in the backyard or something. So I think I had these visions of how I can make money, and I knew my mom is very into the whole corporate world, but I knew I didn't want to do what she does, and I just didn't want anybody kind of telling me what to do. So I think I just saw money essentially. I just knew I wanted to be rich, and I thought that was kind of my path to being an entrepreneur or being having freedom of time. But now as I grew up, I realized that it's really not about being rich. What I'm trying to do, I want to be an entrepreneur. And my main goal is not about being rich, but just creating a lifestyle where I have freedom of time.
For sure.
So I realized just looking at my patterns, I kind of associated having a lot of money with freedom of time and being able to do whatever I want to do. But, that's really not the case because people who have a lot of money sometimes are slaving away at companies and don't have their own time. So
they're broke on a higher level, as some people say.
Yeah, so I'm that's just my main goal, and I think I always kind of saw that. When I got to Howard, though, I realized, I want to come on campus, create this whole new image, and, I wasn't as worried in high school. I used to like worry about what people thought about me and stuff like that. And I felt like at Howard, I just didn't care. I pursued anything that interests me, and a lot of that was entrepreneurship. So I kind of just, pursued anything in the realm of entrepreneurship. Like literally, as soon as that's how I came on campus, I like entered a business plan competition because that like is what caught my interest. So.
Cool. So for everyone out there, always thinks, "Oh my goodness, look at Mark Zuckerberg, and he started Facebook, and he was always great and successful." Or like, look at Bill Gates. This was his first idea, and he was great and successful. Can you talk about how some of your former ideas or first ideas failed completely, and how that helped to spur you along?
Yeah, I've had a lot of ideas through college. I think my first ever business plan was like for an organic food store. It was called Organic Nature, and I just like wrote that business plan for that. And of course, I never really pursued that. And then I had another idea, which was called Urban Illustrators, which was for like a comic book that like was supposed to be inspiring to teens, and those were kind of minor ideas I didn't pursue. More heavier ideas that people may look at it and say that, may think that that was a waste of time. I just consider it a lesson learned. Is when I tried to run my own magazine on campus, and I put so much into that. And I actually did release the first issue. I had students come and model for it.
Oh, watch out now.
And students like submitted like video tutorials on how to do makeup, and like it was really cool. But one thing I realized is that sorry, I keep like stirring my words, is that I wasn't really passionate about it. And I think my main lesson through my matriculation through school is to not pursue something that you're really not passionate about. And I knew deep down, like I'm definitely not a fashion or who cares about like fashion that much.
Yeah.
So I tried that and it kind of flopped. And then I tried a natural hair blog, which I was like, I have natural hair, so I should like blog about it. But then I realized like I like my hair, but it's not something that I'm like passionate about blogging about it. So that I had like my whole dorm room decked out with like the green screen and like professional lighting for like the video vlog series and stuff. And that it didn't work out, and I felt like a lot of it I just learned my main lessons through that was just like learning how to hustle. Like I was like hustling, putting up flyers, recruiting students, and I think all those are learning experiences, and I was meant to have this idea at this particular time, because I felt like if I had that idea previously, I didn't know the right way to go about it, or it might have just fizzled out like the other. So I think those experiences just taught me, like, just make sure that you're following exactly what you're passionate about. And if you don't know, try a bunch of things that will eventually lead you to figuring out, what you're passionate about and what you're not passionate
For sure.
about.
All right, so here's another thing that seems to be the notion. All the great entrepreneurs drop out of school and boom, their greatness, making hundreds of millions of dollars. But you finished all 4 years of college, have been able to meet Magic Johnson, Farrah Gray, Mark Cuban. Can you talk about how you can go to college, or you can be in college and still actually pursue your passions and pursue your dreams and interests?
Yeah, and with that, it is very tempting, because sometimes I would consider like, I don't feel like being in school. Like this is too much time, and like I even like structured some of my majors around the fact that I wanted more time to pursue my business. Like I switched to a business major for like probably 2 weeks, and I was like, no, I can't. This is taking up way too much time. I cannot do that accounting class. No.
Especially at Howard.
Yeah. I was just like, ain't nobody got time for that, so I'm going to switch my minor back to French. And what else? I was in the honors program at one point, but then I decided to actually drop out of the honors program because, it wasn't something that I thought was really beneficial to me, and it just took away time. So I don't want to seem like I was the most like school, and then business. Sometimes I did put my business ambitions a little bit before school, but I think it's important. I think staying in school gave me a lot of opportunities that I wouldn't have had if I did like drop out, because a lot of a lot of programs and competitions are geared to college students. So like the MTVU competition, it was for college students. So that's how, that's what was one of the eligibilities to enter the competition. So with that and other business plan competitions that I've done, I recently won the one for Morehouse College, and that one was for, college students. So I think you get a lot of opportunity by, remaining a student, and there's a lot of programs that you can use, and a lot of professors you can use as just resources and other students. Like, that's how you spread the word too about your business. Like, I'm in an area with a bunch of students, around 10,000, that I can share and promote my idea to. So I think, there's a lot of benefits to staying in school while you're working in your business, because you can just utilize the resources. I think that's a big part of why, I decided to continue being in school, and also because my parents would, be pretty pissed off if I decided to drop out of school. So, yeah.
Fair enough. So, I think I found you by somehow finding your blog, which is, well, you have multiple blogs, but the college success tips.
Yeah, that's when I recently started, because a lot of students on campus would ask me, like, how did you get, accomplish these things, and how were you able to do that? So I just decided to create an ebook based on, like, my experience and my matriculation through school. I detail competitions that I've won, how I won those competitions, how I made and network with really good, cool people, and how I made myself stand out from other students. So I came with this idea because I saw a lot of, had recently read the 4-Hour Work Week, so I was on this whole stage where I just wanted to create e-products and then, like, go live in, like, Bali and just make money from selling my ebooks or something like that. So that was kind of the inspiration there. Of course, that didn't blow up, but I've barely been promoting it because I've been focusing on my startup. But I guess the inspiration around that was just to see if I could build up an email list, and also just to share my story with other students and how I was able to just accomplish those things throughout college.
Cool. So you are building a web startup, but you're not a programmer. You've also interned at Google, but you're not a programmer.
Yeah.
So can you talk about how you've done both of those things without being a technical person?
When I tell a lot of my friends or people who ask me how I was able to, because right now my app is about to be released in about a month, and how I was able to get stuff moving. And a lot of that is competitions. I am always looking for new competitions. You can visit studentcompetitions.com or bizplancompetitions.com, and I'm always just typing in certain keywords to see if I can find new competitions online. And that's kind of, you need funding. So I think that's the best way to get funding to actually bring your idea to life and not have to give away any equity, because a lot of those competitions don't make you give away any equity in your company. So right now, honestly, the only way that I have this product being built is because I won a competition. I have money, and I outsource the project using Elance, which is, you can find like freelancers and stuff like that. So I'm outsourcing my project to a team in India for a crazy inexpensive price, but I'm not sacrificing quality. So I would say look for competitions in regards to getting, building a programming product if you don't have any skills. In regards to the internship, Google actually came and spoke to one of my classes. So that's kind of, they were encouraging us to apply for an internship, because they do tours and try to recruit students from different schools. So they came to Howard and they said, you don't have to be, it was for their business side or marketing or advertising. So I actually applied literally, I wasn't even taking it seriously. I applied the night before and right before the deadline, and I wasn't expecting to get it, but surprisingly, they saw something in me and decided to offer me an internship, and it was in their advertising, the small and medium business department, where we dealt with consulting for small and medium businesses and helping them, get their ranking up in Google for their Google ads and stuff like that.
That's kind of awesome.
Yeah, it was. I had a very good time there, and I feel like I can't believe I didn't really appreciate the fact that at first I don't think I really appreciated it at the beginning when I first found out that I got it, or that I first found out that they were going to interview me. I'm like, I don't know if I want an internship anyways. I want to work on my own thing. But then as it got closer to the time, I was like, yo, this is Google. This is like pretty dope. And I kind of, after leaving there, I'm like, I definitely want my company structure to be like Google's. Like they treat their employees great, and it's definitely an inspiration about how I want to run my company one day.
So did you see the internship yet?
I didn't. I have to. I saw the commercial, and some of the stuff in the commercial I could already tell it was like when they asked. Sorry, I'm so bad at saying asked. I'm like asked. My friend always makes fun of
It's
me
an
for
East
the way.
Coast thing. East Coast thing.
Yeah, but they one part in the commercial I saw where they're like, "Is it okay to grab a drink with your boss?" And like that reminded me of orientation because they asked us that question if it was okay for us to grab a drink with our boss and what do we think about it, and then they showed us the answer. And of course they said, it's okay. And then they asked another question like, "Is it okay to date another Googler?" And the question to that was yes. So it's like when I saw the commercial, I was like, "Oh, I remember that from orientation." So definitely seemed accurate. And we did take like day trips. They took us like canoeing and stuff like that. I wasn't in this San Francisco office. We were in the office, which was kind of a bummer, but we had a lot of fun in Michigan, so it was cool.
Where were you on the? I don't know how to do the boot or whatever they do.
I'm horrible with maps, but we were in Ann Arbor, literally right by University of Michigan.
Uh, that's kind of cool.
Yeah, it
So,
was nice.
now that you're out of school, how would you say that you've been able to like balance the real world, and now that like your business is literally your life compared to when you were in school, like you have a set structure and you have to fit time to do this, that, and the third.
Um, it's been interesting. Like it feels good that I'm literally able to dedicate like 100% of my time to pursuing my business. So that's been very, it's been great to be able to do that. And I think it's it's a learning process because of course at the beginning when I had to write out how my app was going to look, so all the details of it, that was taking up so much of my time. So I would spend all my time doing that. But then now where I'm in the process, I'm just waiting to get work back from like the developers and just approve stuff. I have like no time during the day, so I'm like, I need to like figure out how I can feel more productive because I have some more time during the day where it's like I'm not the one developing the app, so it's not like I can just like be programming all day. So I'm just waiting for work to come back to me. So I think it feels good to have more free time to focus on like my other outside interests, but I'm learning, how to just make sure I'm being very productive during the day and figuring out, what can I be doing now, even though I may not need it for another couple of weeks. And yeah, so just kind of balancing and managing my time and making sure that I'm not losing excitement about it. I feel like that can happen when you're working on something so long. You kind of feel like lose your momentum, or you get a little bit like I don't know, I guess like maybe not bored with it, but you get like
Complacent.
yeah, and just like I don't know. Sometimes you can just get burnt out when you've been like working on something for so long. So sometimes I don't feel like doing anything, and it's like technically it's like I don't really have to. Like I work, but it's not a serious job. I work to get free housing, so it's like literally the only thing for my job. I just have to be there, and I can do whatever else I want, like work on stuff on my computer, and it's only like probably less than 4 hours a day.
Whoa. Are
Yes.
they hiring?
Yeah, you technically I'm not even supposed to have that job.
I'll cut that out. I'll cut that out.
Um, so it's been an interesting experience. I love it though. I feel like I'm realizing that more and more that money is not what's going to make me happy. It's freedom of time. So the fact that I can get up, work out, practice my language learning or whatever I want to do, I can just do whatever I want during my day and work on a business that I really enjoy doing, as opposed to some of my friends who are working 9 to 5 every day. And of course, they're making money. They have their own apartments, whatever. That's really cool. But I don't know. It's just not something that would make me happy. I just like having my own time, and that's kind of
For
more
sure.
inspiration for being an entrepreneur.
Sure. Did you feel that since when you are in college and entrepreneurship is we'll look at like rock stars, but before you get there, no one sees like the struggle and the loss of friends and like the people that are telling you you can't do this and that because no one's ever done it before. Did you find that to be the case? And if so, how did you deal with people not understanding what you were trying to do?
I think I've always been pretty. People have been very like encouraging to me. I would say most of the time, and of course, the people who maybe are not as encouraging, they're not like outright like you ain't gonna make it. You may tell them you're, and they'll be the type that's not like, oh, that's awesome. They'll just be like, oh, okay. So you have those like I've experienced both, but for the most part, most of it has been positive. Some of my friends don't, I tell them I'm going into hibernation mode where it's like I'll be in for like the weekend or for a few days, just like in my room working on stuff, which of course, can be kind of annoying to them because it's like, I'm their friend, they want me to go out with them and stuff like that. But I feel like for the most part, they understand that it's like I'm really trying to like get my thing together, and it's like I'm not working a full-time job right now. I have no income coming in, so I have to be in these intense grind mode. So and for the struggle part, that's true. A lot of people don't like people are not going to remember, and that's why I tell people just pursue it. Who cares if you get embarrassed? Pursue whatever you want to do. If you fail, whatever, because people aren't going to remember that. Like, there's so many competitions that I entered, and I was like, people vote for me on Facebook. Vote, vote, vote. And I didn't win them, and I'm like, I'm sure none of them remember that. But of course, they remember the competitions that I have won. But and also they don't see the drama that has ensued. And because I have had partners, and not all of that has worked out. So it's all of it is just a learning experience, and I think people perceive it. Once I get to a certain point, I know people will never understand kind of what it took to get to this point.
Yeah.
Which, people, I feel like a lot of people nowadays too, they don't have as much hustle. Like a lot of the younger people on campus, like I would say there's a lot of people that do, but people who see me and they ask me like how I was able to accomplish certain things, I'm like, it's like people don't want to do the grimy work. Like I used to be around putting up flyers, taking an extra entrepreneurship program on top of my regular classes, preparing for this business plan competition that was like an extra class. And I feel like a lot of people, like a lot of other students, are not willing to put in that extra grind time. And then when I do win these competitions, people don't realize that it was because I was in hibernation mode for like 3 days straight or something for like the past, few months, or I was just like in my room working on stuff.
For
So
sure.
I think a lot of people just won't understand, and it takes time. Like I've literally been doing this since I stepped on campus freshman year, and I graduated, and I'm still working on getting my product out there and finding the right product, and then finally getting it launched. So I'm like, literally, this is a journey. You're gonna have failures. Like so much things are gonna happen, but what separates the successful people is if you can just keep on pushing. Because I'm like, nobody wants to hear a lame story about how you hit it big on your first idea. Like that's not inspiring. Like people want to hear about trial and how do you accomplish that, so that inspires them to try and do the same thing.
For sure. I have two questions. They're kind of like intertwined. You've been very open through your blog and through everything that you're doing about like your success, where you've gone, your failures, what you've been doing. Um, and the second part is being that you are a woman and of a minority in the tech industry, which are kind of like, woo. Do you feel that that has helped you being so open and authentic that people can gravitate to that? Or,
Yeah, I think, and I'm actually grateful. Is even though people from other cultures may not wonder why, but I'm like, I'm grateful to be black and a woman because there's so few of us. There are opportunities like we like how having that whole Shark Tank that's coming up for minorities specifically. I'm like, I have a really good chance of getting certain things because I am a minority woman, and it's not seen as often. So I feel like blessed to be in this situation and the passion that I have. Since it's so rare, I feel like it will be, you know, and it's weird because I think it'll be somewhat easier, but then a little bit more. It's like somewhat easier but difficult. It's like a oxymoron. I don't know how to describe it. I feel like there's programs that are catered to people of color like me in the tech industry, but of course it is harder to get big time angel investors and stuff like that to take me seriously. So it's, I don't know, it's a weird situation, but I feel like I don't know, it's interesting. I don't see too many other young ladies doing this, which kind of is disappointing because it's like I would want somebody who I can, you know, chat with and get inspiration from, because a lot of them are in different fields of entrepreneurship, not exactly like building an app. So it's kind of like, I would say it's kind of difficult not to see a similar face sometimes in like somebody who's in this same realm, but I would say, I don't know, it's good for like looking for other opportunities to get funding. Sometimes it can play in my favor. I don't even know if I answered the question.
Yeah, I was saying I found you like very genuine and authentic, because we're doing the same thing. You're on Code Academy. I was on Code Academy. You tried to learn a language. I tried to learn a language, and then you went to Howard. Didn't even know people like this existed at Howard. So yeah. It was like really kind of cool.
Yeah, it is cool, and I feel like I love running into, of course, people of the same like race, because it's like in Black who are interested in like lifestyle design and read the 4-Hour Work Week, and I'm like, that is rare. And of course, it's more rare to find a woman who is interested in that same thing and who has read the 4-Hour Work Week and that's trying to do a tech startup thing. And so it's very rare, which can sometimes be a little bit lonely because I'm like, I'm the only girl amongst all these guys. But I think it's I don't know, it's an interesting journey though.
For sure. Do you have an opinion as to why Blacks or minorities in general don't go into this realm? It seems like we see the glory in basketball and football, and I don't even know what else we're into, rap. But this is like a really big industry where technically you don't have to have a talent or a skill. You just have to be good at something, and you can grow and create something.
Yeah, I think it just needs to be more promoted. And I gave an example. Well, I came with an example for when I was younger. I used to be obsessed with video games. I used to be so obsessed with it. And then, of course, when I got to a certain age, my mom was like, "I'm not giving you any more money to, on video games." So, of course, once my parents stopped funding my whole video game obsession, I was like, I'm a girl. I want to spend my money on getting my hair done now. I'm not going to spend it on video games anymore. But I feel like if my parents were like, okay, we see that you love video games so much, we're actually going to send you to this camp so you can learn how to build video games and learn what goes on behind that. So I feel like, a lot of Black kids don't have that same thing with parents who may send them to these programming camps. I don't think it's introduced as much. And I feel like if it was, we would be on that same level. I would have loved going to some programming camp and learn how to code, but it just wasn't something that was introduced to me. So I feel like if it was introduced more, there would be a lot more, minorities doing it. And I feel like they don't know the alternative. If I don't know how to code, then I can't launch, a startup. So I think that could be an issue. And also funding, because I did a lot of research for business plan competitions, and a lot of PWI schools, they have huge business plan competitions that are offering students $50,000 to get their idea off the ground and stuff. And a lot of HBCUs aren't doing that. Howard does have a business plan competition, but it was to win probably $2,000. And I'm like, what am I gonna do with $2,000 really? And and that's why I'm so thankful for the Morehouse one, because that they upped the business plan amount this year to $10,000, and that $10,000 has really come in handy. So I feel like the problem is we're not introducing it as much as an option for young Black kids. We don't have we don't have that much funding for competitions and to gauge interest in entrepreneurship in the startup world. And yeah, and I just also don't think we're getting, as much as a shot. Like, I don't know if angel investors are really looking our way to see if we're coming up with the next big thing. So I think those are some reasons why.
So would you say this has to stem to, I guess, the education system, being that you've kind of lived both worlds, education and the entrepreneurial world? Do you think that there's I guess, a slight break in between what we learn in school and what actually goes to making a business?
Yeah, because I think what school kind of trains us to do is to really focus on building, like one or two skills. Like, okay, my major is advertising and French, build those skills and be the best at that. But I feel like what's more important is to have a broader knowledge of a lot of things. So it's like, yeah, I know advertising. I also know, I don't know, I know a little bit of coding. I can speak the tech language. I can do Photoshop. I can do, I don't know, just like having a more broader knowledge of things. So I feel like at school, just in general, it's like, okay, we have specialized knowledge, which I think, can be good. But I feel like if you're trying to, I don't know, branch out to a realm that you may not be as familiar with, it's kind of hard to do that if your mindset has been like specialized.
Yeah.
Sense, but
yeah, we're learning. I always say we learn theories from, like, I was a marketing major, and the textbooks are from like 10 years ago. There's no theories on how to leverage social media, etc. And some things you just have to learn by doing them yourself, and you don't get that opportunity because if you do something outside of the guidelines, you fail. So
yeah, and I'm like, and also like just web design. Of course, they like I have advertising, but they didn't really focus on like how to create a website. Like students need to know how to get a website up from scratch. Like that's very important, and maybe some basic HTML. Like you don't need to know how to code an entire website, but you should be able to find like take out or change this color. The only thing I have to do is type in something, or just change red to blue, literally within the piece of code. So I'm like stuff like that. So you don't have to like use cheap platforms like Tumblr and stuff like that. Just do a shot at Tumblr, but just so you can, get your own stuff. You don't have to rely on other people, because I think a big problem is relying on other people to get your own stuff started, and I think that's what encouraged me to learn how to do things myself, because it's like I don't have time to wait for somebody to do me a favor to help get.
For sure. All right, so like I said, I don't want to take too much of your time. I have two final questions. Since you are both in the college system and an entrepreneur, were there any books that you've read to help spur that entrepreneur spirit?
Yes, I would say my first book is Crush It by Gary Vaynerchuk. I think that's what really taught me, or just opened this whole world of just how social media is and how you can use that to literally make a living and make a name for yourself. Next book is The 4 Hour Week. That is literally my favorite book that like blew my mind. I can't believe living like this, just like making money from their laptops, chilling on the beach, or just having free time to do whatever they want. So I thought that was very inspirational. Think and Grow Rich.
Oh, that's a good book too.
Let's see. Right now, the one that I'm reading now is The Purpose-Driven Life, and that's a huge book. I think it's one of the most sold books in the world, aside from like the Bible or something. It's important to know, what it's like this is a whole completely different thing. So it's like I not only want to be successful, but I want to feel like I am on the path of my purpose. So that's a book that I'm currently reading. And then another one is, sorry, I'm just looking around to see. I would say, I don't think this is a golden one, but this is coming to my head right now. It's called The Midas Touch. No, scratch that. Rich Dad Poor Dad by Robert Kiyosaki.
Great book as well. So those are all some pretty solid books.
Good stuff. Good reads.
All right. So here's the last and final question. If someone that's just starting out, looking to start out, or in the middle of their journey, whether it's entrepreneurship, singing, dancing, whatever, what advice would you have for them?
I would say start. That's like start doing something. You not know how it's where you want to go, but I would just say anything. If it's dance, join the dance program at your school. Do everything on campus that has to do with dance. And I feel like once you do that, right, people who are in your same industry or that have your same interests, it will tell you about programs. It will tell you about other opportunities, and that's just how you get to. That's just how you kind of build yourself up and get access to certain opportunities. Because I'm like, if you're not in it, you're not going to know about it. So do everything in regards to your interests. Eventually, that's would be my piece of advice.
Cool.
Just keep on growing, and if you end up growing in the wrong direction, then as long as you can quickly turn around. But if you're not moving, then you're just not.
Fair enough. Well, Alicia, it was great being able to speak with you. If people want to contact you or find out what you're doing, let them know where they can find you.
Yeah, you can check out my blog. I haven't updated it in so long, so I apologize.
Tisk.
My first name, Alicia, Alicia, T as in Tom. My last name, Glenn, GLENN at .com, just .com. And then my startup, check it out. It's mycollegehustle.com.
All right, so you guys got all the sites. You can obviously Google her if you like, if you want to find more. But she's out there making it happen. College student, tech startup, meeting awesome people in between. So there's no excuse for anyone else to say they can't do it. Ladies and gentlemen, there really is no reason for you not to get started and going after any dream or goal you have. Everything you heard here today shows you can be in school and make an impact. You can be in school and make a difference. Even if you're not in school, you can still do something today. So, next week, we're going to do something a little different. We are actually releasing 2 episodes next week. One on Tuesday, one on Thursday. I won't give the guest away. You have to check out the Twitter or Facebook page, Champion Connections. The information's down below, and you'll see it here and here. So, check that out, subscribe, and look forward to 2 episodes next week, Tuesday and Thursday.